back to that, but I wanted my book first. We are finally live. It is the Flippin' Bunch on a Wednesday evening. And what we're going to go over today is layered stencil magic. Have you ever wondered how to get your piece to look professional and not muddy and not just look like a quick DIY flip? Well, then this is the show for you, because we are going to go over it up to 3 different stencils and 3 different colors. So that's what our game is tonight. So we'll do a quick introduction. This is going to be easy tonight. There's only 2 of us. So I'm going to go to Lavonne first for an introduction.
On my screen, it still looked like the wrong way. But anyway, I'm excited for tonight because I think this is cool. I rarely layer stencils, so I'm excited about this. So good hook. But I'm Lavonne from Statement Designs, and I am working on my last kitchen I'm ever going to paint. Swear.
I heard that before out of you now.
Yeah, I'm too old for this. But anyway, yeah, I'm sticking to furniture and working on a piece for Saturday for the Flippin' Furniture Saturday collab. And beyond that, I put my furniture in consignment shops. Hello, Jeannie. And I've done a couple shows, and I don't know how many more of those I'm going to do. But anyway, the old girl's winding down a little bit, but I still love what I do, and I will always paint furniture, and of course, loving the YouTube channel. So,
yeah, I guess we are opposite. All right. Hey, I'm Dar from DIYs by Dar. You can catch me on YouTube at that name, and the 3 socials I am on at that name. I've been a furniture flipper for going on 5 years. I am a Made by Marley brand ambassador. I sell at a local boutique, and I have some online stores. And this has been something that I love to do since I am a lupus warrior and arthritis warrior. It helps distract me and sometimes help with my pain. Sometimes. So we're going to get into this. And I'll have to mention that Lavonne can read the comments, and that's why we have them all up on the screen. You should be able to see them down there in the right-hand corner, kind of by Lavonne, because I probably won't have the capability to answer to everyone. So I apologize for that ahead of time. But we'll get right into this. And layering stencils for color and design is a great way to build depth, complexity, but the key is control, sequencing, and a bit of patience. If you rush it, everything blends into mud. If you plan it, you can get crisp, layered visuals. Now, as you start any type of furniture, always make sure you clean it thoroughly, lightly sand it, apply a primer if you need to, paint a base coat, even if it's for a background color, if you're using a background color. Sometimes you're just using the wood as a background. So that's entirely up to what you have envisioned for your piece. For furniture, the safest combo is chalk paint or acrylic furniture paint, a stencil brush or a small foam roller, a very light paint load. That's where you can really get off fast, is you've got really runny paint and you have your stencil down and it bleeds underneath the stencil edge. You want to dip your brush lightly. You want to offload most of that paint onto a paper towel, or I use a piece of cardboard. And you want to dab it until it's almost dry. If you think that might be just too little bit of a paint, you're probably right where you should be. Well, if you don't like hanging on to your stencil, you can always purchase repositional spray adhesive. Make sure it is repositional and it's not like the heavy gluing type, and then you won't get your stencil off. It's got to be for stencils. And press the stencil flat, especially in the detailed areas. Dab straight down, never swipe. Build color slowly in layers. And when you want to remove that stencil, carefully pull it straight up, not sideways. Now, I have to make a confession. I usually don't go dab, 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 dab. I'll do what we call the swirly twirly, and I seem to have really good luck with that. But if you're not comfortable with that, you can do the dab dab. And when we're talking a stencil brush, usually you can purchase them at that, being called the stencil brush. And they've got really short little bristles and they're pretty stiff. Yeah, any other input on the type of brush you use? Have you ever?
I have a couple. I have a couple things to say. Like it depends on, to me, the condition of the stencil. If I dab it or do the swirly, because if it's a stencil that has real fine bridges in it, if you swirly twirly, then it's going to sometimes crumble up those little pieces in the stencil. So sometimes I dab, sometimes I twirl, it all depends. And I will say something about Michael's, and hello, Kat. Michael's stencil brushes, they're a nice brush, but boy, that glue that they put on them doesn't last. I mean, if you soak that brush, it's not going to last. It'll pop off right away. And if you're in a fix, you can make your own stencil brush, take a chip brush and take the scissors and cut it. And that way it'll give you those short bristles.
Yeah, really, really good idea. Have you ever used like a foam roller for laying a stencil down ever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've used that. Yeah, I've done all kinds of stuff as far as putting the stencil through. I mean, I've used a cosmetic sponge, at times, depending on what I'm doing. But yeah, I've also, you don't just have to put paint through. I've used wax too, chameleon wax. And something I'm itching to do is to stencil with stain on different colors of stain. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I think where I have a tendency to dab a bit more is if the stencil is more intricate, because you can't get the swirly twirly in there. You have to kind of dab it to get it to work. All righty, let's see if I can get back on track with the right slide. Oh, no, not that one. Nope. We're on number 5. Oh, there we go. The stencil brush, round, stiff bristles. Use a dabbing motion, not brushing. Foam roller, very light paint load. And that is really great for a larger repeating area, like maybe a wall. Now, spray paint. Good for gradients, but easy to overdo. Almost dry is better than too wet. I've never sprayed a stencil, although I know there is chalk paint now that you can spray. I think all the other spray paints out there might ruin your stencil because you're not going to get that paint off of that stencil.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't remember whether I've ever sprayed through one or not. I don't think I have, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's a thing. The stencil, if you don't take care of it, what happens is your opening gets smaller and smaller, and therefore your image gets distorted, so cleaning those stencils is important.
Right, you got to watch that, because if you get too much buildup of paint around that edge, you're not going to get a clear outline, and depending on the thickness of your paint, it may clog up sooner than a thinner paint. So
Mm-hmm.
what I went with was mainly a piece more like an MCM piece with a boho type color, because that's just me, just for an example. So we're looking at flat surfaces. And if you're going to use a mandala, center the mandala or the motif. Keep the surrounding area simple, clean, high impact. Great for dressers, cabinets, and tabletops. A repeating pattern is really what we're looking at here, and it's going to give you almost like a textile look. Repeat the stencil across the surface. Use consistent spacing or tight tiling. It can look like fabric or a carved detail, and it is perfect for top, sides, and drawer fronts. So that's kind of what they're showing here. You can see it a little bit better on the kind of black and whitish one, where they've got a repeat pattern, and they're just right at this point. We're only using one color right now on there.
Jeannie says, and I think she's talking about cleaning the stencils, soft manicure brush and Dawn, but she said I use a sift. I don't know whether that was a typo, whether you were saying soft. Okay, that's what you were saying, soft manicure brush and Dawn. That's a good tip. Yeah.
Very good.
Dawn's good for everything.
I could use a sift for just putting my brush in there and cleaning it out on the bottom, the one I have. Ooh, this one looks blurry. What happened?
I don't know.
Subtle tones, I think, very popular for boho. Sorry, I cannot even read that. I have no idea what happened on that tile. Hope the rest ain't like that. After you get done stencil, what's that?
I just said hello to Bronny. She just popped in.
Hey, Bronny, how are you? Critical for durability. After you're done sealing, let it cure fully. And what I've always been taught is when you go to touch your paint, if it still has a coolness to it, then it's not really dry or cured. It needs to be like a warm temperature feeling when you touch it. You can apply a water-based water-based poly, durable, low yellowing, or furniture wax, which will give you a much softer matte finish. But of course, if it's going to be a tabletop, you probably want to go with poly. Have you ever used just wax on stenciling and not done a poly over the top of it?
Yes, I have. And
had a chance to see how that holds up. I'm always worried if I'm going to sell a piece and I put wax on it, are they going to be open to putting more wax on it or let all the wax come off?
Well, I feel like,
and then stuff starts lifting.
I guess for me, the paint cures within, after 30 days anyway. So I don't feel like there's a danger of it, I mean, if they want to re-wax it, that's fine, but I don't think you have to, if your paint is fully cured, if you want it to look give it a little more sheen, the customer might want to do it, but,
Yeah, I've as yet to use wax like for a finished top coat on anything. I've never done it. Maybe I'm really missing out. I know it can give you really nice, deep velvety colors, and it looks a lot different than poly.
Yeah, I think it, cures as well. So.
Okay, common furniture specific mistakes. Skipping painting. Your paint won't grip. Too much paint. Bleeding in fine stencil details. Not sealing. The design will wear off quickly. And rushing between your layers can add to smudging. I don't know if I've ever had smudging. I mean, I know at the very end of stenciling, if I've had some bleeding, you have to go around and do some touch up, which can be a pain, but it makes a difference doing that little step.
I know myself, like if you are using the bare minimum of paint, it dries super quick. So I don't think that you're going to have issues unless you're using maybe too much paint. But Bronny says you can wax over poly. First of all, Gretchen's testing to see if she's the only one that's on vertical. But Bronny says you can wax over poly if you want the durability and the look. And she always polys over or Jeannie says she always polys over everything. She has a table by the front door that gets abused badly, only waxed, and it's held up 100% fine over 3 years. Well, there you go.
That's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Yep. And Gretchen says wax definitely has to cure, especially over chalk paint, but it does work.
Yeah, I have that piece for this weekend. I'm thinking about putting some wax over it because it just kind of has a funny finish from the chalk paint. Maybe I can talk about that if we run out of time here. Okay, a subtle tone on tone is very popular for boho. And now, let's see, I can't read it again. What in the world? Sorry about that. If you guys want these sent to you, just email us, and I'll put that email up at the end. And I will send these to you step by step. Oh, I've been there. That was the same one I looked at before. Yikers. Quick color ideas for boho furniture. Warm and earthy, clay terracotta, then with a sand and cream. If you want to go a bit bolder, do a teal base and then a gold or a deep red, a soft neutral, a white with a top, or a muted sage. Let's see what we got here. All right, there's a piece, and that looks like a one color more of, I would say, a bolder teal with just one stencil done on there. And that looks pretty darn professional looking to me.
Yeah, it looks good.
What do you think?
It almost reminded me, I guess it's maybe a lighter tone, but I've used, so like maybe like a chalk paint, like a matte, and then used a stencil, like a clear gloss stencil. That's a cool look because everything's the same color. But I did that on a wall, actually, a feature wall, and it really looked cool.
Yeah, so I think this one here is what they're calling like a tone on tone. So you get that a little bit more cohesive design, but it's still in a bold coloration. Let's see what we get with the next one. Now that one, that's a little bit more bold, just using the one stencil and making sure you have them all lined up almost to the point it looks like they're overlapping and consistent. And it very much does look like a texture when you're looking at it.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Offset layering creates depth. The first pass will be your base color. Shift the stencil slightly, 1 to 3 millimeters. Second pass, a darker or a lighter color, and this will create a shadow or a 3D effect. And that is really popular with mandala patterns. Now, I've never done that. How about you, Lavonne? Have you ever tried to like take and just shift your stencil a little bit and go around it again?
Do a little shadow. No, I never have. That's a cool technique, and I should try that.
Yeah. Yeah. If anything, if you guys want to try some of these, try it on a piece of random board that you have laying around, or maybe a piece of
That's no
cardboard.
fun. Just go take the really expensive piece you just bought and try it.
That's usually what I do, which
Yeah,
is
me
not
too.
very
It's no
good.
fun otherwise.
Color blending inside one stencil. Now, I do a lot of this.
Yeah, I've
Keep your
done that
stencil,
before.
keep your stencil in place. Use 2 to 3 colors at once. Blend lightly where they meet. An example of some color combos would be a terracotta, a gold, and a cream, or a teal, navy black, mustard, rust, and brown. It's a
Sounds
very
pretty.
boho aesthetic. It gives a organic feel, and it is less rigid looking. And here's an example, I think, of what they're talking about right here. Although it's just one stencil, but that little tiny circle is just the middle of the stencil going all the way through. And you can see they've got the patterns touching, and it looks like they're alternating the same colors with the blue and maybe a top and then a darker top, some white. It could be that top color is the base color, and they're just using white, blue, in a brownish color. But that looks really nice. That would look nice on some doors.
Yeah. Kat says she's done that with metallics. And Bryce said she's done it accidentally when her hands are shaky and she's not wearing her specs. And Jeannie's blended on the stencils. And Gretchen said that last one is very 1970s, my childhood foundation.
Well, you're going to like this next one then, because this is, I would consider bold.
Oh, I love that.
One stencil.
Yeah, it has sort of a stained glass effect, in a way. I like that.
But they're alternating the colors. And I can't even see any handles on there, but
I know it gives it so much dimension. That is really cool because it looks like it's all folded,
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. I like that.
I hope it's not AI.
I was thinking maybe because I didn't see any handles. It might have been. Now we're going to talk about using 2 different stencils. And they're warning us already. Use carefully, after I've used about 5 different stencils before. The safe way to do it: one stencil.
It's going to get hurt.
Yeah. Maybe our egos. I don't know. One stencil should be your large focal, and then the second stencil, a small, simple pattern only. Let's see. Never layer 2 equally detailed designs. It turns messy fast. Let's think about that. Never layer 2 equally detailed designs. Oh, using the same stencil with 2 different colors, maybe? Maybe that's what they're meaning there.
Well, I'm kind of thinking of like the ditzy floral. Like if you layer 2 small florals, then it just gets confusing. It's not really showing you the.
Yeah, I think that's what the whole idea of this information I looked at was, to try to make your stenciling look more professional on your DIYs instead of just like a random DIY that you did. Because I've done a lot of random DIYs with a lot of stencils, and I've never approached it this way, really. So I'm
I've
going to give it.
honestly never layered them, so I think that's really cool. I'm looking forward to trying that. Brian says, "Who does safe? Rules don't apply to artists," and I agree.
Yeah. Well, when we get to the end here, I'll show you the blinger of it all. So a size ratio. All right. What is an excellent one to build up your hierarchy? 20% focal, 5% texture. Now we're talking with just 2 stencils, which makes layering much easier to control and keeps an MCM look clean. Let's see, here's exactly how to use those 2 stencils on your 2-door teal cabinet without it getting busy. All right, some pro tips we have when you're doing this. Of course, let each layer dry fully before adding the next, unless you want to mix your paints, Less paint is better, which we know that. Work from background to foreground for natural depth. And then test on a scrap first if you really want to check it out. Use translucent colors strategically. Create new tones where layers overlap. Yeah, this piece I just did, I did real light on it, and I could see the bottom color, the base color coming up through my white because my white paint was really thin. And I thought, I kind of maybe like that because I can see that base color coming through there and it's creating a third color for me here. So I just left it the way it was and I didn't put another layer over it.
Jeannie says, unless you're using a raised, oops, sorry, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Jeannie says, unless you're using a raised stencil. And
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would think raised stencil probably would add a whole different character into the piece that you're making. There's a couple other rules on this one I'll get to, and maybe if you kept those rules in mind, you could see where a raised stencil would fit in there if you're starting to use 2 or 3 different stencils on there. Mm-hmm. So common mistakes to avoid, misalignment on your stencils. They keep talking about registration marks. I have no idea what that means. No
registration marks are, so if you have a stencil that has like a couple holes in the corner, those are registration marks that you match up to your pattern. So, or if it's a layered stencil, and come to think of it, I have done layered stencils. I actually bought a kit, I think it was from Plaid one time, and it had like 3 different colors, and those registration marks are on there, and they're like a little like dotted outline. So you put that over that color that you just did, so your placement is right. So that's
so you're basically building your image. Mm-hmm. Different parts of a stencil. Yeah, I think I have one at home too, and I've never used it. Common mistakes: using flimsy stencil material for multi-use designs, not cleaning your stencils. Yeah, I always have my sink ready with some hot water in it, and I get that stencil in there when I start seeing it get built up. And that just comes with experience when you know that, well, no, this isn't going to start to come out very good because it ain't looking good when I'm pulling stencil off. Then, it's time that you probably need to go clean it.
Jeannie says, but if you cut up your stencil, you just fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, I think most of us do, That's kind of like in nursing school, They taught us everything by the book. And then when you got out there in the real world, it's like, that's not happening.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about art here, it's like there are no rules. And, if you use more paint or less paint, you're finding those things out. But Bronnie just said, cleaning brushes and stencils, my nemesis. And I get you. I hate doing it too. And I have some stencils that I've let, build up. It just depends, what material I'm using. I'm the same way with stamps. I have some that I've kind of really let get.
Sorry, I got lost. So let's see which one I had up last. Okay. Structure. This is your blueprint. Each door gets the small stencil, about 5% of that background layer. And then your mandala is going to be, or whatever your main focus is. You have to have one main focus stencil, your centered focal layer. Same layout on both doors. Or if you've got like a really big stencil and the piece was small, then just, you divide it between the two doors and put where it meets in the middle. Base coat, layering. This is the order we're going to layer here now with these two stencils. Teal, fully cured before stenciling. Matte or eggshell works best. The small pattern layered next. And they're calling this our texture layer. Repeat across the whole door. Keep spacing consistent. Grid or a loose repeat. I've never done a grid. I think mine have always been like a loose repeat. Use very light paint. Color choices for my teal. A lighter teal, a soft sage, or a dusty aqua. The goal is to make it visible but subtle like fabric. And I think somewhere along in here it says take your base coat and just lighten that up. Then use that like for your next coat to get that background in there. So it's subtle and you barely see it. And they said not to use white. So I don't know if that makes it just too bright. They said to use like cream or a yellow.
I've heard the term of a ghost stencil, where it's just really barely there, And Bronnie says, unfortunately, I've had many brush mishaps. I have a little tip. And she says, luckily not my big expensive ones. Well, I've ruined expensive ones too. But paint stripper. I mean, think about it. It takes the paint off your furniture. If you can just soak it up to the ferrule, like not the ferrule, but just up to it, then it works like a charm. Your brushes are back again.
Yeah,
Gretchen, what's your purple here?
To me that I read or heard one time, you're only supposed to like dip like 30% of the end of your brush and not get it to go up any further than that. Well, I get it up to the ferrule, and I don't know. I might have to go to rehab to fix that problem because
hey, you can always glue it back on, if it breaks.
Doesn't happen.
It is what it is.
So we've got our first background stencil on there. Now we're getting with our bigger one, our mandala layer, the 20% stencil. This is your hero element. Woohoo! Center of each door, same height and alignment across both doors. Color direction, choose your vibe. Slightly lighter or darker than the base. And build gently. Bold variations would be gold to brass. This is on teal. Ivory to white, coral, or mustard. Spacing rules. Okay. Now you just told me I could either have them go a little bit more random as long as they were lined up, or space. So now we're going to talk something critical here. Leave clear breathing space around the mandala. Don't let the small pattern get too heavy underneath it. I'm pretty bad at that. I'll do the whole thing and then I'll put the mandala on top and then I've got paint underneath it, which is not always a nice look and doesn't look too professional. But if you think it out ahead of time, you probably can avoid that. Lighten or skip the small pattern right behind the mandala areas. This keeps the focal point clean, of course. Why this works so well. The 5% stencil adds texture without competing. The 20% mandala anchors the design. The flat MCM surface stays clean and intentional. It can mimic hand block textiles, carved panels, or high-end boho furniture. Anybody saying anything out there? Any experience with that?
We're still talking about brushes. Jeannie said Murphy's oil soap works. Someone said that, and I heard that too. And I went to try it, and I ended up getting Goof Off, and I haven't tried it yet. But I have the bucket up there ready to soak them.
Goof Off is petroleum-based product. It's going to be pretty strong.
Yeah, that's why I'm taking it outside.
I just use that Dawn Power Wash. That seems to work pretty good for me. Even if I forget a brush, if I got distracted and had to go out of my room and the brush started to get a little bit hard, if I take
we're talking about brushes that got really hard, like you forget about it for a day.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I've never saved one. You'll have to let us know.
Like I said, the paint stripper, that worked for me for brushes that I thought were goners.
Yeah, I guess I probably could have tried to save it, but I didn't. So, oh well. All right, where are we at here? Optional upgrades. Make it look custom. You can add a ghost layer under the mandala, which I'm not really sure how to do this. I've got to try that. Apply same mandala in a very faint tone, slightly offset or centered. I think if you did it slightly offset, it would be to one side or the other. It can create depth. I got Johnny Depp on the mind. It can create depth without clutter. Key mistakes to avoid. Making the small pattern too dark is going to compete with your mandala. No spacing, everything blends together. Misaligned mandalas across the doors. Too many colors. Stick to 2 to 3 max, which makes sense if you've got a base color, you've got a small stencil at 5%, you got a large stencil at 20%, you've got your 3 colors there. Here they give us some color combos again. A teal base, sage for that background pattern, and a cream mandala. And a rich boho teal base, light teal pattern. Sorry, I don't know, cut the last one off. But we're looking at the difference here. When we first were looking at what we started with, we were just dealing with the one stencil, okay? In one color. The base color and then the one color that your stencil was. And that's why they were either really, really white or the piece was really, really white and your stencil was really, really dark. Now that we're using 2 stencils, we're making that background just a little bit of lighter bit tone than the base, and then a different darker color for your focal piece. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this sounds like a challenge brewing. We might have to have a layered stencil challenge.
Oh, they're going to give us some examples there. They got the little color palette up there in the corner. on combos that work for soft and earthy. You know, I can see a teal based with a sage background and then light with that cream mandala up there on the top. And rich teal base, a little bit. I would take my same teal base and lighten it up and then use that with the second stencil and then go for a gold mandala up on the top. And modern contrast, teal base, barely there pattern in a crisp white mandala. So that sounds like, you know, more stark contrast for a modern contrast to it.
Jeannie says she seems to use 3 colors, but she also varies the shades. I do use more than 3 though, but 1 is sparingly. And they all like the idea of a challenge, of a layered stencil challenge.
We might have to do an FB layered stenciling challenge.
Yep.
Sounds like a fun one.
Yeah, it does.
Final design tip, and here's where you get it. Stand back 6 to 8 feet. What you should see first is that mandala, then your pattern behind it second. If you see both equally, your background is too strong.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, so instead of seeing, you know, something visually nice, it's just there. And you're not going to get that.
I was just going to say, in addition to standing back, one thing I like to do is take a picture with my phone. It's so weird. Like you look at that and it's totally different than when you're immersed in it. You can't see it until you look at it that way. And then it's like, oh, I see what needs fixed. You know, I see what's wrong with that.
That always happens with selfies too, hey?
Yes.
Selfie of yourself, and then you look at it, you're like, ugh.
Gretchen says it's going to be hard to beat Dar, but it's fun to give her a little competition. Bronny says, sorry.
You guys are good. Come on.
Bronny says, sorry, I'm being opinionated. I just can't do without color anymore. I think there's different types of boho. It can be very eclectic with loads of different colors. Guess like everything, it's personal. Yeah, but I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah, it is. This is just kind of hitting if you want it to look more like a really high-end professional piece. Myself, I'm like you, Bronny. I'm going to go with whatever colors I want. I could have 4 of them. I could have 5 of them. So it's just whatever piece you're in the mood to make. Do I think any of my pieces look really, really bad? No, I don't think so. But I think I need to branch out and try to make some of these other ones just to see how they sell for me.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that one. Here we are. Subtle background layer, 5% stencil. Seems like we went over this already. Soft sage, warm, muted green. Oh, there's the colors they want you to mix. Mix your teal with a bit of cream or beige, not pure white. Aim for 2 to 3 shades lighter than the base. Why this works? It keeps everything warm. Important with green teal. It will read as texture, not contrast. Application, very light dry brush. Slightly uneven on purpose. Coverage 60 to 70% of the door. Don't make it perfectly dense. Mandala layer. Seems like I'm going over repeating. So let's look at some pieces here. So when I look at that one, the mandala stands right out to me how it should. And I'm almost thinking that there is another color in there because that background behind it almost looks different to me.
Yeah, it kind of looks tone on tone in a way. So like that brown color, it's like they almost used a lighter tan or something.
And as far as if they did a base, it almost looks like maybe a light wash, because I'm seeing a
That's
lot of wood
possible.
character.
Yeah.
I think this one here is probably a good example. You see the mandala in the middle where the door cuts, but then when you look back behind the mandala,
Oh yeah.
that's where you're seeing that more little bit of a lighter color, and it gives that contrast. So then when you do that 6 to 8 feet thing, you're going to see that mandala first. I wish they would have had a better picture of that, but they didn't. Oh, third stencil. What's going to happen? The core rule, 1 star with 2 supporting rolls. 1 dominant layer, that's going to be your mandala. Looks like you're still going to go with your 5% stencil in that background, and then 1 very controlled accent layer. If 2 layers compete, it immediately will look like it's overdone. The 3 best ways to use a third stencil. Micro accent layer. Keep your current setup, your 20% focal, your 5% background. The third stencil only in small areas, not full coverage. I guess what I'm seeing is like maybe a little pop here or a little pop there with just an extremely small stencil.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think it would get smaller.
Slightly lighter than gold or slightly darker than mandala color. So they're, either way from your mandala, you could go a lighter color or a darker color. Example is you got a gold mandala, add deep bronze or soft highlight gold. It adds richness and dimension, still feels clean and intentional. Talk about the ghost layer again. I'm just going to pass by that because I don't understand it. I hope you guys understand that. I'm going to have to try it. Then maybe I'll understand it. Color balance rules. Critical. Keep 2 colors total. Now this is just for this professional looking piece. Teal for your base, sage again for the background. Gold for your mandala and or small accents that you might be putting out amongst the drift. Your third stencil should not introduce a new loud color. Contrast levels. Background, low contrast. Accent, medium. Mandala, highest contrast. I see a little contradiction in that there.
Did you have a chat with ChatGPT for your information? Well, we have to keep in mind that they don't always, they even say we can make mistakes. So, yeah. I take what they say. It's great information.
I don't always take all of their slides either because I think they're kind of bunk. So I don't really use them all.
Bronny says, does anyone remember blue and green should never be seen? Rule makers and rule breakers. I don't understand. Overdone either, Jeannie. Jeannie said, what is this overdone you speak of? Unfortunately, my pieces take forever because I don't know. Stop. I know somebody else like that.
I'm like that. Well, I got done with that third stencil deal. And I said, what if, because to me, there was not enough color in it. I said, what if I want to add red? And it was like, this matters a lot, what kind of red you use, which makes sense. You want to go with a warm color if your other colors are warm, or a cool color if they're cool. Like for the colors I had going for this one, burnt red, rust, deep maroon, it says avoid bright cherry red, which, yeah, I guess that would kind of, although I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, I'm known to just about do anything I want.
Yeah, I think so
So they're
too.
saying, where should your red go? And you can see in that bottom mandala there, they just kind of painted it in. I wouldn't say that is like really a third stencil. It's more like a third application or fourth of a color added into your stencil with the red. Or if you're going to do another accent, what they suggest is go around the outer edges of something, like framing around it, like on that table.
Yeah.
Hey, we're almost there, guys. Color control. Did I ask him if I wanted to do 4 layers? I was just feeling nuts. The color control critical at 4 layers.
Yes, we're really critical.
Oh, he's pointing the finger there. I got teal, sage, gold, and burnt red as an accent. No new colors beyond this. Well, I'm sorry. I might just put more colors in there.
Yeah. We'll do what we want.
A breakdown in percentage on what they're thinking for colors here. Your background, 65%, your ghost layer, 20%, your mandala, 10%. Or their ghost layer is kind of like meaning your second stencil, and your red accent should only be 2 to 3%.
What will go wrong?
Yeah, we'll see that. The ghost layer is too visible, looks like a mistake. Background is too strong, and it'll muddle everything. The red is too heavy, it'll steal the focus. And if the mandala is not crisp, the entire design will collapse. Well, I would think if you put a ghost around it, would it not become uncrisp? There you go.
The ghost isn't crisp,
Yeah, two layers is clean and safe. 3 layers, rich and artistic. 4 layers, advanced and needs restraint. You're capable of it, but only if you stay disciplined. All right, let's take a look at this piece.
Oh, I like that.
Looks like they did around the border thing, and they used red for an accent. I can't really tell if there's anything in the background of the mandalas or not. There may be. And then when you just really have had enough of it, you just do this.
Oh.
You do what you want to like it. Yeah, this is more, boho, like different designs, different colors that go together. The other is just to compare what you can do if you're looking for something a little bit more crisp and professional looking with just a $5 piece and a couple colors of paint and a stencil and Nuna. You can do it. So that's where we are at.
Dara, I have, if you don't care, I pulled up one of my TikTok videos. This is not a layered stencil, but it was just one of my favorite stencil things that I ever did. If I may share the screen. Yeah, I can do it. I think. Let me start playing the video first. No, I should be able to do that. Okay. I don't know whether I can make this bigger or not.
I see it down there. Do I got to click it up?
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Music.
Well, it's not playing. It's not playing.
Oh.
Just came up.
It's playing here.
Oh, and it wasn't playing for me. Let me hit it back up again.
Here, let me try it one more time and see. No? Did it show up?
Yeah, I kind of get like the whole top of your Facebook, but like I'm what it is I'm unable to hit the start button for it to play.
Did you guys see it? If anybody can comment.
I bet
Nothing's
you they
playing.
saw.
Okay, let me just try one more time. Let me pull up.
Can you hit play before you send it to me?
Yeah,
Like
let me try that. I'm going to turn the volume off on it. Okay, let me try. Screen.
because then if it's
Yeah, I
already
think I got it
playing,
now.
if it's already playing, I should be able just to click it up as it's playing.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is using chameleon wax. And I used lilac and cactus and apricot. And it was really iridescent. It was just one of the fun things that, and it was over the whole dresser. It was pretty cool. So just
Yeah, it
wanted to
looks really
share
neat.
that. Yeah, just
I
fun.
got it there. I got to see it again. There we go. Nice.
So
Did you have
okay.
to put anything over the top of that wax, or did you just leave it?
I just left it because it really dried hard. Okay.
Well, now I'm looking for this. We've got this is a challenge that is being hosted by our lovely Crystal from the Crafty Creech and Dawn from Shabby Meets Bling, who we've had on here as a guest, and she's fabulous. This is Saturday, May 9th, and starts at 8 o'clock. And all of us, I think, I'm participating, Lavonne's participating, Crystal's participating, and I don't know, and Dawn, of course, who else is from people that we know. They will be other people, probably from some other collaboration groups. So you'll get to see some different people's takes on how they do their flips.
Yeah, I mean it's not our collab, so Bronny says, I refuse to believe it's May. I know. Yeah, I was going to say something and I forget what. Oh, I know. Well, Dar's being really, she's just not saying anything, but she said she had Johnny Depp on her mind, but did you copy the link to share?
I did. You know me too well.
All right. Well, tell everybody what you're doing.
Oh, look it. Do I look the same? Create Without Limits. Johnny Depp presents The People's Artist. And I am participating in this. And I'll give you a link and I'll tell you about it real quickly.
And you can vote.
There's where you have to go to. It's based on public vote. And where it is at, the Art of Elysium is a organization and a gallery in LA out in California. And they are basically a charity organization, and they do a lot with setting up art in communities like hospitals, vets, kids, underprivileged. So it's a good organization. Plus, if you wanted to put yourself in as a volunteer art person, they will actually send you money to conduct classes like in your area for underprivileged people or areas. I might be looking into that. But anyway, myself, I'm participating in this, and it is by public vote. And you can vote one time every 24 hours, only for one artist. Well, of course, you can donate money too. And that buys you, like, nobody tell my husband today, but I used his credit card and I bought myself 100 votes.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
Maybe that's why you're number 4, because Bronnie said when she voted, it said you were 12. When I voted tonight, it said you were 4 in your group.
Now you know what? I just wanted to see how much money, where it would take me, which is kind of a bad thing in a way, because then people that really have a lot of money, they can kind of beat the system and be number 1 on top, which I don't like. But it is a great organization, so I guess I really don't care that much. Yeah, you can vote once every 24 hours. And the thing is, when you vote, you get a free vote. When you vote, it will want you to verify through Facebook. And you just have to hit the, is this you at Facebook? And you just have to click it, and then it'll take you and verify it. So what do I win? Well, the big winner, and it will not be me, but it's just exciting to do it. Wins $25,000. They get to be flown out, 2 people. So Lavonne said she'd go with me. And you get to go out to their art gallery, which Johnny Depp, that's the first place he sold his art pieces at when he started to sell art. And you get to have a spread in their magazine, and they'll show your pieces. So it will not happen, but it's exciting. So that's where that's at. Yeah,
It's very
Lavonne,
exciting, and it could happen.
All right, I have to put this one up. Now, if you want any of those slides, or you would like to get a hold of us, or you'd like to be notified when we're going live, hey, where did you disappear to? Come back. That is our Gmail, flippinbunch@gmail.com. Then if you would like to get notified by text when we're going live, there's the phone number there, 814-515-4905. And our lovely Lavonne takes care of all that for us. Wow. I think we made it.
Yeah, this hour went fast.
I hope some of them tips were helpful. I guess I've just realized a different way to maybe try doing some stenciling. We're gonna give it a try.
We're gonna do a challenge. Sounds like we'll have to tell Crystal what you missed. Hey, guess what? We're doing a challenge.
Well, when I text her tonight to vote for me again, I'll tell her that we're gonna do a challenge. So, anybody have any other questions? We'll let you ladies get on with your evening. If you don't,
well, we appreciate you joining us for sure. And snow at this point in time, sorry, but that's
they're getting it in the UP. They're still snowmobiling in the UP, Upper Peninsula of Michigan, but it's pretty nice here. Well, if
I'm glad
that's
you
it,
clarified what UP was, because I didn't know.
like the Wanapee, the UP, Upper P.
All right.
So if that's it, everybody. We love you all. Thanks for coming.
Yep. Have a great night and morning. All right. Bye, guys. Don't just leave, Dar. And just
I know I'm doing the same thing.